Greetings, oh wonderful and much-loved blistered ones. Yeah, I really shouldn't try and bring that name back. That was a terrible idea, and I instantly regret it. Regardless, welcome to Blistered Thumbs. I am your host, Shaun Petros, and I am joined this time by longtime friend of unrepented geeking and pretty much everything I do. Psst, that's your cue.
Oh, yeah, me. Yeah, Petros, Ioannou, writer and creator of My Life as a Video Game.
Well, we're off to a great start. Failure already abounds. Great, that's wonderful.
Hey, look, it's midnight over here.
What?
Hey, look, it's midnight over here for me.
Oh, I don't want to hear you bitching, but I'm in London. Oh, I'm in England. Ooh, aren't I special?
Yeah, I forget sometimes your life. You live in Arizona your entire life, so, you know, it's...
I've not lived in Arizona my whole life.
Well, your current existence is in Arizona, so I do feel sorry for you. I apologize.
No, you'll be even more sorry when you realize I spent the first 10 years of my life in South Carolina.
Oh, God, you poor bastard.
At least I ain't there anymore. Oh, God, after the primary, I was like, thank God I got out of there. Probably the only state, worse than Arizona. Ugh. Yeah, South Carolina can go fuck itself. Anyways, we're not here to talk about, that. I do not want to get started on politics, because that's opening a can of worms just beyond the... Anyways, let's talk about video games. Video games are nice. Video games are safe. And we're here to talk about... We are recording just shortly after the Nintendo Direct for March 3rd, 2016 aired, and it wasn't anything, earth-shattering. They didn't reveal... Wow. They didn't reveal the NX, but they never claimed they were going to, but there was still some fun stuff, and I thought Petros and I could have a nice bit of conversation about it. So we're just going to go in order here of the Direct itself, and we open things up with, never a bad way to start. Mr. Miyamoto himself talking about a game. I don't know about you, Petros, but I'm really excited about, and that is Star Fox Zero. So, we got to see more of the game, and I thought it looks great. We got to find out a few more gameplay elements. They also announced something else. We'll get to it in a minute. First, though, what did you think of the latest footage from Zero?
I thought it was great. I mean, first of all, I just want to start out. Did anyone else find it really, really funny when Miyamoto introduced himself as, "Hi, I'm Shigeru Miyamoto. I'm a game producer at Nintendo." It's like, that's like saying, "Hi, I'm Neil Armstrong. I'm an astronaut at NASA." It's like, yeah, no shit.
We all know who you are, Mr. Miyamoto, and yet isn't that totally like him?
Hi, I'm William Shakespeare. I'm a writer for England.
Yeah, but that's totally Miyamoto. I mean, that's right in keeping with him. So it is amusing you point that. It's like, we know who you are.
Well, it's not even we know who you are. It's like you're not just a producer for Nintendo. You're the game producer for Nintendo.
Right. I mean, I think it's safe to say Nintendo would not exist, or certainly would not be recognizable without your contributions.
I want
and for that matter, that goes to the entire video game industry. So
back at E3 2013, I edited a video for Screw Attack where I changed his subtitle from producer of certain video game to Our Lord and Savior, and it had Craig cracking up so much that he said, "Keep it."
Yep. But okay, so what did you think of the game itself? What did you think of the latest gameplay? Are you excited for Zero?
Oh yeah, I'm quite excited for it. I mean, I've been looking forward to a good space combat game for a while. It looks like a lot of fun. Like it looks like in many ways Star Fox 64 remake, but in a good way, like the Resident Evil remake was.
Well, except that part of what we got to see was the new planet with all the giant vines and monsters and just really gorgeous environment. I remember a lot of people at E3, last E3, complaining, "Oh, the game didn't look good at all," and I was like, first of all, I thought the game looked pretty damn good, and second of all, it was still in fairly early development. I think the game's shaping up to be quite lovely looking, and I love the art direction and the style they're going. I mean, the sense of big, epic encounters and lots of fighting, and of course, and I liked seeing the classic alternate path approach, which has long been a hallmark of the Star Fox series. It looks like Star Fox, only better. What else do you want?
Yeah, and I think I think it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun as a game. I like that it's got the branching paths and everything, and I've been looking for a good space combat game for a while. Actually, I was like,
Yeah,
I have some episodes of my show that were inspired by space combat games, and to do it, I went back and played Star Force 64, and I went back and played the old Wing Commanders, and Star Citizen wasn't quite out yet, and still may never be out at this rate, but it's like there was no game out there that it was recent that I could play and take inspiration from. Everything was from like the 90s, basically. So I'm glad to see something like this that is taking like what was great about those games and sort of updating it for 2016.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's going to be a big, beautiful, exciting game. I like the transforming ability of the R-Wing. I like what we're seeing in the level design. I like that they're really trying to take a cinematic approach. Like what we saw at boss battles are giving us lots of close-ups and camera moves, and they're really trying to make this feel big and epic and different from what we think of as typical Nintendo fare, which isn't quite, I don't know why, Nintendo could create lots of beautiful things. But anyways, that's Star Fox Zero. If you're not excited for it, I can't make you, but I don't know what, if you're a Star Fox fan, I'm not sure what else you want from the game, frankly. I'm not sure what else you could reasonably expect. We will get to, like, Federation Force later, although but I can at least get why there's some discontent there. But when I hear people go, oh, this isn't, because I've heard people go, Star Fox Zero isn't enough, it just looks like more of the same. And I'm like, yes, that's right. It's more of the Star Fox formula, because Nintendo has clearly hammered that home in all the hundreds of Star Fox games we've gotten in the last 10 years. Okay. Now, let's move on and talk about one of the least surprising reveals ever, and that is, at last E3, they were showing off, or was it last, was
Project
it 2
God,
E3s
it
ago?
was called.
Yeah, was it 2 E3s ago? I don't know. It all blends together, eventually. But they showed off a game called Guard, and even back then I was calling, yeah, this is going to be Star Fox related, and as it turns out, yes, it is. They announced today Star Fox Guard, which will be released either on disc with Star Fox Zero or as a separate digital download if you buy Star Fox Zero digitally. And which I hope means the digital version of Star Fox will also be less expensive, because otherwise that's kind of bullshit. But regardless, the game features gives Slippy an uncle. Why, Nintendo? Why? Why would you imply this thing can breed? Why would you imply this? No!
Well, what I find hilarious is like if someone at Nintendo said, "Hey, let's give Slippy a game,"
Yeah, no.
and I mean, I know this is the land of like magic mushrooms and clouds with faces and everything, and it's the land of like where weird shit happens and stuff like that. But you can't tell me drugs weren't involved in this.
They may not, whether they were involved, they certainly are going to be, as we regularly interact with Slippy's uncle. But okay, all kidding aside, Guard looks fun. I thought Guard looked fun when they first announced it. It's basically a tower defense game, which I'm all for. I love tower defense titles. I've probably played, God, hundreds of them, especially on mobile. There's something about the genre that really appeals to me, and I like this particular look on it. The genre has been incredibly done to death, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is harder and harder to find new takes on the concept. But I think Nintendo, in classic Nintendo fashion, has done it. And I like that once again we're seeing Nintendo embrace online possibilities, go a little bit Mario Maker with it, because a game like this.
Yeah, that was also like that surprised me. I thought they were just going to be releasing a game. It's like, oh, so it's Project Guard with the Star Fox name attached to it now. And then they went and said, oh, you can release all your levels online for people. And I was like,
right, you can
awesome.
remix enemy placements and level designs, and you can do a little bit of Mario Maker stuff, and that's great to see. And the game looks fun.
I guess I have a new Twitch stream. Star Fox Guard Saturdays.
Sure, why not? So I take it that means you're looking forward to Guard.
Yeah, quite a bit actually. I mean, it looks like it's going to be fun. I love the fact that you can share it online, and like you said, I like tower defense games as well. I play Crystal Defenders on the iPhone and iPad for. You know what? Let me rephrase that. I'm still playing it to this day, like 5-6 years later. I've been playing it since the day I got an iPhone. like way back in 2008 or whatever it was. Um, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad they're packaging with it as well because I did worry when it came out. I was like, are they really going to retail this for $60? I mean, like, I don't think anybody was going to buy. Oh, they're packaging it with it. Okay, nice, nice one, Nintendo. Well done.
Next up in the direct, we got some more rebalancing and additions for Splatoon. I mean, they've said there won't be any more new maps, but there will be some changes, and it's not considering Splatoon has become one of the big surprise hits for Nintendo. It's not exactly shocking they keep it going, but I'm not really sure there's anything else to say about it.
They usually have one or two new IP hits for every generation, or at least one or two new sort of like game hits. Like Smash Brothers was always one of the new
I think
hits
it's
back in the 64 era, for example.
I think it's safe to say we're going to see a lot more Splatoon
Yeah,
going forward.
whatever
And I'm
X is, there will be a Splatoon for that. There'll be Splatoon, basically, or whatever.
all for that because I like the concept, I like the execution, I like the IP, I like the idea of a third-person shooter that actually isn't brown and gray and brings and more than just being colorful also brings different gameplay approaches to it. I thought it was creative, and I think there's a lot of room to build on the formula. I definitely, I've thought about what could they do? There's all sorts of things they could do, and hopefully next time around they'll get the online component handled better because it's still a bit awkward there. But whatever.
Well, that's one of the things they're trying to fix, though, is the matchmaking right now. Is one of the updates.
Yeah, but the real problem comes down to just the basic approach they took. It was a very Nintendo, maps change in and out, and unless that's changed, I don't regularly play Splatoon. I'll be honest. I mean, but back when they launched it, it was like you'd only ever have 2 maps at a time, and they'd alternate. It was just a weird approach to it, but it was very Nintendo, So, yeah. Oh, god damn it. Sorry, ABC just released 15 shows that got renewed, and Muppets is not among them, and they're not saying yet whether or not they're renewing it, and I need more Muppets. That was a brief diversion. Anyways.
Just a very quick diversion, by the way. Have you played Final Fantasy IX on iOS at all?
No, I have not.
So fucking good, dude.
Well, I might have to give it a try then. But isn't it one of Square's patented $20 releases?
At the moment it's $16.99.
Yep. Nope.
But
nope.
Honestly, of all their ports they've ever done, this is the best one by far.
Well, that considering that's not necessarily saying a lot, but okay. All right, let's get back to Nintendo.
I've already sunk 20 hours into it, so.
Look, I know what you're doing, Petros. You don't want to talk about Mario and Sonic Olympics, but we have to at least mention it, okay? Stop trying to distract it. I hate it as much as you do, but it's a moneymaker for Nintendo and Sega, and it ain't going away. As long as the Olympics themselves continues to limp along in a bloated, corrupt form, so too will Mario and Sonic at the Olympics continue as well. And the surreality...
It's not that bad.
And the surreality of it will continue. I mean, there's nothing like seeing one of the Deadly Six, the new bad guys up on a float waving at the crowd. It's like, hi, I'm a murderous, monstrous thing, meant to be a callback to the Deadly Sins, 7 Deadly Sins. But I'm now just playing along fun. I mean, I know. People will say, but Bowser's an idiot, okay? Bowser is, on some level, a lovable goof when you get past the fact that he likes to kidnap people. So, I mean, it's like, you can't hate Bowser. He's such a... I go back to a quote from a terrible movie that I loved as a kid growing up that we could watch, my brothers and I watched endlessly. What was it called? It was about Martians invading badly, and I can't even remember. It was like this live-action movie. God, people are going to probably...
Mars Attacks.
No, it was not Mars Attacks. Wasn't that piece of shit. It was bad, but it was bad in a cute way. Mars Attacks was bad in a, oh my god, this destroys my faith in Tim Burton as a creator kind of way. Mars Attacks is one of the worst movies ever made. This was just harmless kid fare. But there's a line in the movie because it's like Spaced Invaders or something like that. That was the title or something along that lines where these idiot aliens think, they're here a rebroadcast of the classic Orson Welles thing, and they come to Earth thinking, the invasion's gone, and why am I going into so much detail? Anyways, there's a specific line, it was in all the trailers, and it's the line that I always remembered, where a little girl, who of course the aliens make friends of a little human girl, and she goes to her dad when her dad finds out about them. They're not bad, they're just stupid. And that's how I describe Bowser. The Deadly Six may be stupid. Some people will tell you they're stupid too, but in a different way. They're meant to be a legitimate threat. But anyways, wow, this has gone bizarrely off topic, even by our standards. I have no interest in Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. You?
I had interest in the one from 2008 or 2006 or whenever it was. Not since then.
And then you played it and you realized, oh god, this is awful.
No, I
This
had
is
shit
just
tons of fun with my roommates when I was in college, but it was like,
I'm disappointed in you, young man. Oh, I get it. That was your weed phase.
huh?
That was your I'm constantly high on weed
I
phase.
actually never smoked.
Really? Because I've watched your stuff and that doesn't. Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm just that insane. No, actually, it was I enjoyed the games. It was fun, but it was kind of like because at the time the Wii was relatively fresh and motion controls were fun,
Right.
so it was a fun thing at the time. Less so now.
Yeah,
It's past its time.
rugby. The addition of rugby and what was it? Gymnastics or some crap. It does not exactly do it for me. I mean, look,
I
this
would
will
be
sell.
more interested if they had released a game called Mario and Sonic Rugby. I'll be honest.
Well, yeah, but you're British, so you're dumb about rugby.
Says the person from a nation about to elect Donald Trump as president.
Look, it's your home now too. You're as guilty as any of us. You contributed. Besides, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm moving to Canada. Damn it, Petros, we can't get into politics. Anyways, so yeah, I'm not interested. But do not kid yourself. It will sell. It will sell like hell. Back when I worked at Toys R Us, the Mario Olympic Games always were constant sellers. Because, yeah, kids love that. All right. Then we got an update on Super Mario Maker, which is always nice to see, even if it wasn't the update people really want. I mean, what people really want is for them to go full in, and just added some serious gameplay elements from things like, because they've been very piecemeal with the gameplay, with the enemies and gameplay elements from Super Mario 3 and Super Mario 4 that they've included, Like, there's still quite a few elements you can't really add, and it just... But they did announce more support, and I imagine support's going to continue. The big addition this time around were keys and doors, which is a classic Mario element, especially from Mario 2. A big part there, and it looks like they're doing it a clever way of doing puzzles, and the old giant version of the thwomps, the big spiky blocks that were a memorable element in Super Mario World.
Yeah.
So, and they're also doing a few tweaks to the online component, all that. So, nothing major, but an interesting addition that could make for some fun levels. You're the Mario Maker guy. Any thoughts?
I think like these are gonna be fun. I mean, like you said, it's been a bit piecemeal recently, and while I've been happy with the fact that they're free is great for me right now. I wish they kind of would release a little bit more than this. Like, I'm not expecting them to release a Mario 2 set map pack without us having to pay for it, I'll be honest. But at the same time, I think that, like, this... I think that they could add a couple of things more. I heard they were adding the Tanuki suit in somewhere, but that wasn't in the direct at all, which was interesting.
What I wish they would add is the ability, because I remember that old freeware game, that wonderful freeway Super Mario Crossover.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Which was basically, if you've never played those, a couple games in those, they were fan-made, free games, where the idea is that you played as different characters, kind of like the costumes in this game, except that the characters actually played like they did in their own games. So Link played like he did in Legend of Zelda, and Samus played like she did in Metroid, and so on, and... I think I understand it would be a really tricky addition, and it's probably too much to hope for it to ever come. Maybe if there's ever a Mario, maybe at this point I'd be shocked if Mario Maker doesn't eventually come to the NX with all sorts of additions and stuff. Maybe even like they'll try, like I've heard some people theorize maybe they'll do a Mario Maker where you can do both 2D and 3D levels, though that would be a hell of a lot more complicated. But regardless. That's what I'd like to see. All right, let's move on. It's good to see them continue to support it regardless, even if it's not quite where we want it yet. It's a start.
But this way, Mario Maker right from the start was a complete game. There was never denied. There was no one out there who said this was incomplete and not fit and not finished. Everything else on top has just been gravy, and this is just more gravy. And who can say no to more gravy? I like gravy. I have my meat and potatoes is basically a meat and potato soup gravy.
Sounds really unpleasant. I don't like gravy, and I don't know why we're friends.
Okay, just imagine it's like, I don't know, chocolate syrup or something. And
Oh, oh God, that's even potatoes and chocolate syrup. What kind of monster are
actually,
you?
that's pretty good. Actually, I've tried that before.
Stop
I'm
talking.
pregnant.
Just,
All right, what do you want from me?
just, I want you to stop. Oh God. All right, let's talk about what some people are calling, what some might call one of the greatest trolls in Nintendo history, Tokyo Mirage Session. Oh God, how do I say that? Sharp,
FE,
Sharp FE.
which
Look,
most are going to call hashtag FE. Let's be real.
let's be honest. It's clear that what we have gotten is not what we were originally promised. We were originally promised Shin Megami Tensei meets Fire Emblem. And we were originally promised something like, I remember some of the vague, they never went into details, but the vague idea was we would actually get the full-on Fire Emblem characters as they really are, operating in a modern setting. And I mean, it's not what I pictured and when I first thought of it, but that doesn't mean I ain't fucking excited for Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which looks like it's going to be a really fun, enjoyable game in its own right. I cannot wait for this to come out. Did they give the official release date? I think they said summer. Yeah, June 24th. That's I've been excited about this game ever since they first announced it, as I just said. And while it's not quite what I wanted, it still looks pretty damn good, and it looks gorgeous. It looks so damn pretty. I love the art approach. I love how colorful it is, and I'm excited. How about you?
Well, they announced it was coming for Wii U, right?
Oh yeah, it's a Wii U title.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, the thing that's held me back from Fire Emblem in the past is that I have trouble sometimes playing RPGs on 3DS, with Bravely Default being really kind of the exception for me. Mostly because I feel like I don't know what it is, but as I've grown older, the 3DS I've never shelled out for an XL, so like looking at the 3DS regular, I've never really wanted to buy many RPGs for it. So this, as such, I've never played a Fire Emblem game. Yeah, I know. You want
we can't be friends.
You want to disown me and whatnot, blah blah blah. But truth is, I've never played Fire Emblem. Although I've been recommended by many people, it's never been on top of my list. I have not as much time to play video games as I would like to, and I pick the ones that I have to pick and choose what I want to play. At the end of the day, this has me curious because I am a big JRPG fan. At the end of the day, I love Final Fantasy. I love Dragon Quest. I'm like Xenoblade Chronicles is my favorite game of all time, joint with Final Fantasy VII, and it's this looks like it could be some silly fun. If I can, I mean, I don't know if I'll get it day one launch. I'll be honest. I may wait until it's like maybe a year old and get it sort of for like $20 or something. But yeah, it kind of looks like fun. It looks silly as all fuck, but
I'm excited for it. I mean, look, I'm not entirely in love with some of the character designs. That's a discussion for another day. It's specifically some of the outfits, but regardless, we are going to get some version of Marth, some version of the Fire Emblem characters. I love a good modern day setting. I still don't think we get enough of that in RPGs, and it's from Atlas. No, really, it's from Atlas.
yeah.
So
You say you don't get enough modern day setting RP in RPGs. Do you want to know one of the weirdest things? That's actually something really fun for me about Xenoblade Chronicles X. Walking around the town for some reason for me.
oh, I love that. No, it doesn't sound weird to me at all. I love like home-based settings that feel lively. Like that's always been a bit of a thing for me. Like cities that are in the middle of hostile environments and games and things like that.
Yeah.
I could find that. I find that very absorbing. Very very. I don't know. It scratches a very specific itch.
Even though FF7, as you said before, is not one of your favorite games, it's the Midgar setting and a lot of the things around that modern setting is something that you liked about it.
Mm. Well, so anyways, we're both excited for that. I think that's a pretty good translation of the name, and I hope it does well. It's gotten pretty good reviews in Japan, but it hasn't sold great. Hopefully it's going to sell well. I do find it interesting. They did not... the FE clearly stands for Fire Emblem, but they're not actually including the Fire Emblem name, especially after the huge success they've had, first with Awakenings and now even more so with Fates. So, will that come back to bite them in the ass? I guess we'll see. Let's talk now briefly about Lost Reavers. This was a game announced a while back. It's from Bandai Namco, and it's a rarity on Wii U. It's a free-to-play game. It's a full-on free-to-play action game, and yeah, the open beta starts April 14th, with the full version launching April 28th. So, what is this beta? I guess it's just a stress test, because it really doesn't leave you much. I mean, theoretically, a beta is supposed to be, but anyways, it's an unusual thing for Nintendo. It doesn't look, like the most compelling game in the world, but it's free. And we'll see if that's free or free in quotation marks. Regardless, it looks like it could be a decent bit of occasional time waster. I'm a story guy, and I'm not a big multiplayer guy, but I've seen worse. Thoughts? Very good thoughts, Petros.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts, really. I was just like, no thoughts.
All right, let's move on into something that's going to get people probably a lot more excited, either good or bad. Paper Mario's back!
Is it just me, or did they rush through this trailer? Like they revealed it, and then was like, here's the trailer, okay, cool, next thing. And which
Certainly
found a lot of what they were doing in this Nintendo Direct. This could have been an hour long, but they were trying to cram a lot in. I guess they haven't done a proper Direct. There wasn't one for a specific game for like 6 months or so.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly didn't give this one much fanfare. That's definite. It's very hard to know if I should get excited for this, because on the one hand, I love Mario RPGs and I love the Paper Mario series. And for the love of fucking God, Nintendo, will you bring Paper Mario Thousand Year Door to the Virtual Console already? Seriously! You had a Paper Mario crossover on 3DS, which would have been a good time. Now you have an actual Wii U Paper Mario game coming. Bring it, you bastards! Stop tormenting us! It's one of your greatest games ever. I would consider Paper Mario Thousand Doors, if I was going to do a top 10 list of all-time Mario games, it would probably make that list. And that's not something I say lightly. But all right.
Yeah, I totally get you there, man. I've actually got it on my old Wii, and to be honest, I haven't played it for more than like 5 minutes yet because I just don't turn on my Wii anymore.
Yeah. But let's talk about Paper Mario Color Splash. It's hard to know what to think about this game because, well, the last Paper Mario game was just dreadful. And I'm not talking about Paper Jam, although that wasn't exactly great either. That was at least, it was better than Sticker Star. You know what I mean? Paper Jam was just kind of like a 6. Sticker Star was like a 3. It was awful. It was a desecration of the Paper Mario name, and from what I can tell, I can't tell if this is from the same people or not, but there are disturbing signs. I mean, they're focusing on colors, they're focusing on the stupid card mechanic nobody liked. It doesn't look like they're necessarily going to have teammates again, which is something people always loved about the Mario series, especially the Paper Mario games. I want it to be good. I love the Paper Mario games. I love the hell out of them, at least the good ones. I hope we have a big story. I hope it's something epic and fun. I hope it's something cool and different like Thousand Year Door was or Super Paper Mario. I loved how crazy Super Paper Mario went. Like, sitting into the underworld and getting very meta, but also never losing track of the fun. And I mean, it was different, but
it's funny. Super Paper Mario was actually the first Paper Mario game I actually played, and it's still my favorite because I love the hell out of that game. It was like it felt like a Mario game to me, whereas the other Paper Mario games, since I played them, they're fun, but they feel like Mario RPG. They're RPG games more than.
I love that. To me, there's something wonderful about taking characters like Mario, like the Mario characters, and putting them in the kind of epic RPG scenario where like I said, at the end of the day, Super Mario Galaxy aside, Bowser's a bit of a goof. You can't really. I mean, any guy who has gotten his ass kicked this many times and has failed that many times, you just can't. But putting them against somebody who's like a real serious threat,
Yeah,
I just think it's.
Bowser is one of my favorite. We have a version of Bowser in our upcoming second season. He was one of the most fun things I've ever written, honestly, because it was just there was so much I could rip into about him, and it was like. He's basically a sort of like a single dad as well, and it's kind of like...
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that he's constantly kidnapping people against their wills, I mean, he's a big goof. I've loved him. I've loved the idea of him doing a forced alliance with Mario ever since the original Mario RPG. I love the guy. You know, you gotta love. There's a reason that despite all of his bad behavior, they still invite him to play sports and drive cars with them. You know, Bowser's great, but it's good to see the Mario characters kind of out of their element. And so I don't know. I hope Paper Mario Color Splash is a return to form, but I ain't holding my breath. How about that? They got to prove it. And it's probably they say 2016, which I think realistically translates to no earlier than fall, if not winter. So you know.
Yeah. I mean,
Any final thoughts
they
on Color
rushed through
Splash?
this description quite quickly of it, and
Well, it's just the start, and we'll get a lot more down the line. I'm sure we'll see a lot more at E3, for instance.
the fact that they've done 2 directs in like the space of a week shit says to me that they're looking to get back on the direct horse a little bit recently, and
Yeah, they need
we'll
to.
probably start seeing more of it before E3.
It also tells me the fact that they focus so much today on the Wii U and the 3DS also makes me wonder if something isn't coming down the pipeline in the next month or two for the NX. Maybe they're not going to wait for E3 to reveal it. Maybe they're going to start the reveal hype, sooner, and they want to get all this stuff out of the way.
My big question, like, we haven't heard any Zelda U news for well over a year now. So the last Zelda U news, I believe, was at the Game Awards in 2014. So we haven't heard anything about that. So I was surprised not to hear even the Remotus bit this time, honestly. So I guess we're going to hear about that at E3 as well. Or then we might get a special direct for that in the next couple of months.
Maybe. All right, let's move on. We got some more stuff on Pokken Tournament. Early access competition on Twitch, March 17th. I'm not personally particularly excited for Pokken Tournament. I mean, I'm only an intermittent fighting game person, but I think it looks nice. I think it's got a good style, and it looks like a fun game. Any thoughts?
This is what I've been waiting for ever since Pokemon came out. I'm not gonna lie. I have been waiting to have Pikachu beat the shit out of Charizard since day one. Like, it's fun though, but selecting from the same 4 commands. I gotta be honest. I wish Pokemon have evolved their battle system a little bit. I get people always complain about Pokemon never having changed that much. It's made very incremental changes, much like Mario and a lot of other Nintendo franchises have. Because, like, unlike a lot of other game developers, they don't either try to, or like for example Square Enix, they don't try to take a big leap in one direction. They always just try to make very incremental changes. And if you look at Mario 1 versus Mario Galaxy, completely different games. But Mario 64 versus Sunshine, not that different games. They make incremental changes across the thing. If like me, you played red and blue, or yellow in my case, and then gold and silver, and then jumped all the way to X and Y, quite a big difference. But the battle system is the same goddamn thing. It's always been the same goddamn thing. And this, for me, even though I would never want an action RPG, Pokemon game. Although that might be a good way to do the combat, if they wanted to go that way. Although that's not what I want. This is kind of giving me a little bit more to play with these Pokemon characters without it being the same 4 commands and items that every Pokemon game has been since day one. I love the Pokemon universe because there are 700 and something Pokemon at this point. And I think it'll be a lot of fun to get to just play with these characters in a way that is like I'm not the craziest fighter guy, but like I do enjoy Street Fighter, I do enjoy Mortal Kombat, I do enjoy Smash. Ironically, Tekken is one that I've not played that much. But you know what? I'll enjoy Pokken.
It certainly has visual flair. That's good to see, and it's nice to see.
It looks really good.
And it's nice to see this world from a different perspective, a more high def perspective, I guess you could say. And that's fun. It's always, because we get a much more limited view of the Pokemon world, even through the 3DS games. I mean, it looks fine. It looks fine. I don't know if I'm going to buy it yet personally, but certainly it looks pretty good. All right, moving on. I think this is when they started cramming in a bunch of little things. I'm not really going to talk about Twilight Princess HD. It is what it is. I mean, they talked a little bit about their new loyalty club, which they still didn't give real details on, so I'm not going to, again, it is what it is. They're slowly spreading out more, going on to iOS and things like that, fine. We can talk briefly about Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge. Any thoughts? Are you an amiibo
It
collector?
should be a fun little game. It's free, so why not?
Well, it's free in quotation marks because you got to have Amiibo.
Yeah, well, I've got at least three. I mean, I don't know if I don't think any of those three actually work with it, but oh no, Princess Peach should work. I have Princess Peach, Shulk, and Link. So I think Princess Peach is the only one that works with that. But yeah,
I mean,
if they introduce the ability to use all the other Amiibo, great.
I mean, I like I like in general the series this is based off of, but I'm not really sure this is going to be the next great title in the Mario, Mario
No,
mini series, as it were.
It's one of those things where it's like, you know what, we've had a funny idea, and we need to make more reasons to get people to buy Amiibos. So here you go.
Yeah. Let's see. Then so that's coming out April 28th with early release coming through GameStop and stuff. They're releasing some more Isabelle, some more Animal Crossing cards for Amiibo Festival. Is anybody even playing that, I wonder? They're releasing a different version of Elizabeth Amiibo, with her in a different outfit. Finally, SNES games are coming to the Virtual Console on 3DS, but only for the new Nintendo 3DS. I seriously doubt it's a technical reason. I don't buy that at all. But
Yeah, I don't, but considering they managed to get them all working on the game, pretty much every single one of those games came out on the Game Boy Advance in some fashion or another, and they can get Game Boy Advance games working perfectly fine.
And it's gonna include Earthbound, and I gotta say Earthbound seems like would be a good fit for that.
Yeah.
I mean, but it doesn't. It's not, of course, because this is Nintendo. It's not going to be cross-buy.
I mean, like when the Virtual Console first came out, it was the greatest thing ever. Like it wiped the floor with the PSN and the Xbox Live Arcade. It really did, because it was the best library of games in the history of gaming, and still is to this day, really. But they've really botched the releases on Wii U, the re-release on Wii U. They've really botched the it's been so incremental and so slow, and like I don't know. I think at this point, because when the Virtual Console was released, it was 2006. It's 2016 now. 10 years later, we're at the 10th anniversary of the Virtual Console, and the game's still the same price.
Yeah.
And
Look,
I feel like it was fine back then. 2 years later, iOS came out, and games dropped down to 99 cents.
Unless you're Square Enix.
But you know what? Square Enix, I can sort of deal with a little.
No,
Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with it. I'm just saying I could deal with it a little bit better because it's a huge RPG. However, like a game like Super Mario Brothers should not cost $4.99. It just shouldn't.
All right. Let's just move on. It's nice to see, even in a limited fashion, but yeah, Nintendo, you really need to support cross-buy. Anyways, let's talk.
I think you need a streaming service.
Pokemon creators Game Freak. We got a new little game announcement, an upcoming digital release for the eShop for 3DS, Pocket Card Jockey. I'm terrified of this game. I'm terrified because I'm afraid it could end up owning me. I mean, look, the design, like with the horses and everything, is adorable, and I love card games, and I like the way, I always love it when you things where you use like something like Solitaire for something different, like as part of like a larger gameplay element. It looks freaking adorable, and all the breeding the horses and the different mini games and this could be bad, Petros. This could be very bad for me. I got a job. I got a life. I can't let this. You excited for this or not? Not for you.
I guess it could work for me. I don't know.
It looks hard. At worst, it's harmless.
At worst, it's completely harmless. It's a Pokemon shuffle. It's you like it, get it. Move on.
It's coming out in May. I suspect I'll end up getting it. Ozer Striker 2 Gunvolt, or Ozer Striker Gunvolt 2, or however you say it. It's more Mega Man inspired action with a focus on moving fast. I really like these games in concept, but in theory, I can't play this game. I couldn't play the original for crap. I doubt I'll be able to play much better, but I'm glad it exists. It's one of those things when I see it, I'm glad it exists.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So like same here. There's a lot of games I feel about that as well. I'm glad this exists. I'm probably not going to play it myself, but yeah, I'm glad it exists.
But it'll make a really fun Let's Play for somebody that I can watch bits and pieces of when I feel like it. So, and think, I can't ever fucking do this no matter how I do. And from March 2nd to June 1st, it'll only be $10. So,
Yeah.
That's not a bad price for these things. And it's coming out, summer. Although March isn't... Wait, what? Wait, I think I got that wrong. Hold on. What were you saying? Oh, they were saying maybe the original. I don't know. Anyways, they talked a little bit about Fire Emblem Fates, some DLC, the upcoming Revelations release. I'm enjoying Fates, but I've got my own issues. But I'm gonna save that for the review. And you've never played Fire Emblem, so let's just move on. Let's see. They showed more for Hyrule Warriors, the upcoming re-release with Linkle. Again, okay. I mean, I don't, I like Hyrule Warriors because I'm a Warriors fan in general, but I already played it and I can't. The 3DS version is really so graphically limited. I certainly can't say it gets me that excited. But any thoughts or just move on?
I didn't get to play. Sorry, I got to play Hyrule Warriors when I was at E3, but I didn't get to actually play it for real until I played it around my friend's house the other day. Because I never got. I was really broke when it came out, and unfortunately, when I'm really broke when a game comes out, I generally don't buy it in the end unless I find it in a bargain bucket. And by bargain bucket, I don't mean KFC. But like, I don't know. I think it's great that they're making a portable version of it. But like you said, yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be the greatest visually of all time. It looks slightly. I've seen comparisons that it looks slightly better on new 3DS. They seem to, ever since Xenoblade Chronicles 3D came out, have been avoiding, for the most part, new 3DS exclusive stuff. But yeah, this game looks like it was made for the new 3DS, and then they got some kind of mandate saying you got to make this available on regular 3DS as well, because like it's not going to sell otherwise. But yeah, it looks cool.
All right, moving on.
There's going to be new stuff for the original game actually as well now. That's a good plus of this. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Moving on, we have Disney Art Academy. The Art Academy series is a good seller for Nintendo, and combining it with Disney makes a lot of sense. I could see this doing very well for Nintendo, for prospective artists who want to try and draw on the 3DS. So, fine.
Did find it rather entertaining when they said you could draw your own things that look as beautiful as this, and it was like the ugliest picture of Eeyore I've ever seen. It was like, I'm good, thanks.
Fine. They announced, in a nice move, coming for the upcoming Bravely Second. When Bravely Default first came out, they had a really fun approach to it where they did a demo that was actually its own little original slice of gameplay with its own little story. I mean, it wasn't a narrative for the ages, but it was still, it was a distinct bit of gameplay. I mean, you did go to the area in the game that's in the demo, but everything there was kind of different, and it had a very different narrative and different enemies even, and it worked really well.
The demo was like almost like the beta version of that area, like in many ways.
Kinda, and it worked well to give people an introduction to the game without really spoiling anything. And they're doing it again with Bravely Second, which is a good approach. And like with the original demo, if you play this one and then you get Bravely Second, you could transfer over stuff. So good. I'm glad to see.
Its whole original story actually is unrelated directly, at least, to the regular Bravely Second story. This is like, unlike the demo, this is like a completely separate side story. The demo, the original demo was kind of related to the original game.
It had the characters. This one isn't going to have the characters who probably are going to be the stars of Bravely Second.
No, in fact, I've actually got it on my 3DS, the demo, because it came out in Europe earlier. Much like
what devilry is this you speak of?
It actually came out in like Bravely Default itself. The original one came out in Europe
first in America. No, that's not acceptable, Petros. American exceptionalism. It must all come out here first. Yeah, okay.
After it comes out in Japan.
You shut your dirty whore mouth.
I do have a dirty whore mouth.
Okay, this is getting uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. So yeah, it's coming out. The demo's coming out March 16th, and let's move on. I mean, I don't know if I'm excited for Bravely Second, because while I think I appreciated Bravely Default more than I liked it. I appreciated its ambition. I appreciated they tried to go for a really crazy mindfuck classic, old school mindfuck. I said it twice because really story, but I'm not really sure how well that worked in practice. And still, it was a big hit for Square here, and it was a hit that came at a good time because it reminded them that what they needed to do was, effing create. Stick with what worked, not while being willing to try different things, to not forget their roots. And hey, Bravely Second looks like has an attack where you can summon a giant demon train to crash Look, what I know is there's footage of a giant demon train, and the old school FF6 fan of me always gets excited when there's demon trains.
Yeah.
Whatever the context, I'm always ready for more demon trains.
I liked Bravely Default is a game that I never managed to complete yet, and I've been meaning to get around to it. But it's like, I mean, there's slight minor spoiler warning here, but about halfway through the game, it gets to a point where literally the game starts repeating itself over and over again.
That was what I was talking about, where I appreciated it more than I liked it.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, I really enjoyed this game, but I think I'm going to go back to Pokemon now, because I haven't beaten that game either. And at least that one moves forward.
Yeah.
So,
And we should move forward.
yeah, anyway, moving forward. I'm excited for Bravely Second. I'm looking forward to it. I kind of have trouble, like I said, playing 3DS RPGs, with Bravely Default being one of the few exceptions. So at the same time, I kind of wish I could play this on console.
Well, next up we have confirmation again for a game I'm very excited for from a series I love, Dragon Quest VII: Fragments of the Forgotten Past. I'm especially excited for this because I never played Dragon Quest VII back when it came out on the PS1, and that was because it was kind of the victim of that awkward transition into the PS1 era that a lot of series experienced, where it's still like where it was clear that the Dragon Quest people were trying to figure out what the hell do we do now in this new era, and instead they clung too hard to the past. Like in the original release of Dragon Quest VII, you still had to do the old thing where you had to actually select a stair button to go upstairs. And who the hell has time for that? And more than just that, the graphics were incredibly awkward. You know how I rag on the awkward graphics of Final Fantasy VII? Dragon Quest VII makes those graphics look like high art, okay? There just were a lot of problems, which is a shame because I knew enough about the story. I would find out enough about the story to think this was a really interesting take on the Dragon Quest formula, and so I'm so happy we're getting this remake finally, and that it is coming over here, and I could finally play a proper version of what was an interesting idea, better executed overall. So I'm excited. Any thoughts about Dragon Quest VII? Wait! You like things with 7 after all?
It's true, yeah. My first Dragon Quest game was Dragon Quest VIII, which I really enjoyed. I'd like to check out its predecessor because it's very rare that a series like that doesn't release a second game on the same console. Though, like with Final Fantasy, you had 3 per console generation for the most part, right up until Final Fantasy IX, basically, at minimum. And kind of with PS2 as well, they had 10, 10.2, and 12. But like they went from 7 to quite late in the PS2 era with 8. So there was quite a gap there, which means they probably were.
Like I said, 7. The original release of 7 was a game that was very awkward and clearly didn't know what it was.
Yeah, and 8 seemed to knew very much what it was, which was great.
Right.
And I look forward to trying 7 because since then I've gone back and I've tried some of the other Dragon Warrior games, as they were called back in the day.
Look, we have to all move on with our lives. It's Dragon Quest. Anyways.
Yes, but you know what I mean. I went back and played them. They're a lot of fun, and I look forward to trying out 7 on the 3DS. I'm glad it's coming to the 3DS because a lot of Square Enix stuff, they've been trying to release everything on iOS recently rather than on 3DS. After 3 and 4 did mildly well on the DS, they didn't really go with 5 and 6 on the 3DS like we all thought they were. So, yeah.
All right, moving on. Any thoughts? They announced Monster Hunters Generations for the 3DS. It sure looks like more Monster Hunter, all right.
I'm glad this game exists.
As somebody who was the designated Vita reviewer for Blistered Thumbs back in the day, I got really familiar with the Monster Hunter formula, and it's a formula that I'm fairly indifferent to personally. So I have no intention of playing this game. But as you said, again, it's one of those titles, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it's good for Nintendo. It's good for Capcom, which despite some of the bullshit we get from them, is still, I think, a good thing for the industry. Look, we all got issues with Capcom, but I think at the very least we can agree they ain't Konami.
Yeah, you know what?
I know that's not a high standard to shoot for, but still, they ain't Konami.
That's the funny thing is that like Capcom, like they're one of those they're one of the few third-party companies that continually keeps producing stuff for Nintendo, and in Monster Hunter at least, which is one of their biggest franchises right now,
Oh,
keeps coming to Nintendo. So you know what? I'm glad that Nintendo has that relationship and that the games keep getting produced. People seem to love them. I'm very different to them. I tried playing it before, wasn't my cup of tea.
yeah, it's glad it exists. All right, let's now focus on one of the big things. Okay, we got for the first time since I think E3, we got new details, new footage, Metroid Prime Federation Force, and to say that this game has been controversial is to dramatically understate it. And before we go any further, I do want to remind people that all this overblown reaction to Federation Force almost exactly mirrors the reaction to the original Metroid Prime. Because, yeah, boys and girls, guess what? People were freaking out when Metroid Prime was successful because it's like, you can't do a first-person Metroid. No, you're breaking it. You're ruining it. Ah! They didn't break it. They didn't ruin it. They did something wonderful and unique and different. And it ended up being brilliant to the point that now people are disappointed that they don't have more of it. So let's leave that in perspective. Now, yes, Federation Force is very different. Yes, it's not going for the loneliness and sense of exploration of the Metroid games. But that's why it's called Metroid Prime Federation Force. What it is, after years of people telling Nintendo, you gotta try and do different things, Nintendo goes, okay, we're gonna try to do a different thing, and they immediately get slapped down and told by the same people, no, you have to do more of the same, and I mean it. I've gone back and looked for some of the people saying this, literally this, in some cases, the same people, okay? And look, I don't know if Federation Force is gonna be a good game or not. I'm not sure if I'm particularly excited for it, because, spoilers, I'm not a big Metroid Prime fan personally. I don't particularly like first-person games in general. I played them all, but I prefer 2D Metroid. But I still respect the shit out of those games. They're amazing games. They're works of, they're high quality. They're not just good. They're great games. I have my own preferences, and that's fine. And again, as I already said earlier, I'm not a big multiplayer guy. Look, I don't know if Federation Force is going to be any good or not, but I'm at least going to give it a goddamn try before I decide it's crap. There, that is my mini rant. Your thoughts on this, Petros?
If there was any one game franchise that they had going for them that should become like a sort of hybrid MMO sort of thing, like online game, you know what? Metro is not a bad idea. It's got a pretty rich universe, and the gameplay of Metroid Prime lends itself to multiplayer pretty well, honestly.
And a rich universe that I would argue is fairly underexplored.
Yeah. The only other one I can think of is Star Fox, honestly, and they seem to be doing enough of that.
And at least with Star Fox, we've gotten games set around the world. I really do feel like, yeah, this is one of the most. This is this complicated, interesting, potentially sci-fi universe that basically, because of the whole solo approach that's built into the game, we know so little about. I would love to actually further explore this world and the ideas kicking around. Like some of the more recent games, like Metroid Fusion introduced, this potential corruption within the government and all these kinds of potential interesting ideas. And I know Other M is a flawed game. You will get no arguments from me there. And it has a very flawed story, but even it still had some interesting ideas. And so, yeah, I'm willing to give this a chance, and we will see. That's, I think, and you also have to realize, people keep asking, why don't they just give us more classic Metroid? Because Metroid sells like shit in Japan. Metroid is not particularly popular in Japan. It's never been popular in Japan. And frankly, we're keeping that in mind, that yes, Nintendo's a global company, but they do still have to keep very much in mind of their audience. They want to try and get as big of an audience possible. And they've had numerous proof that Metroid can be a quality, doesn't necessarily go well, and isn't very popular in their home territory. So they're trying this. And if this is a good game, even if it's not exactly what you want, but if it's good, then you should support it so we'll get more Metroid down the line.
And economically speaking, people have always got to remember that, like, when a game sells 1 unit in Japan, that's like selling 2 or 3 units in America.
Yeah.
Because not only is the yen shit against the dollar right now, but it's
translation issues.
There's like importation issues. There is taxes. There are like a whole bunch of stuff that just makes it much more valuable to sell something in Japan. That's why Square has moved so much to mobile. It's because although consoles are doing great in the West, they sell like they don't consoles. The Wii U is the highest selling home console in Japan. Let that sink in for a second.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much says it all. I get, look, instead of, I'm not saying you shouldn't let Nintendo, I'm not saying you shouldn't let your voice be known. And I'm not saying you shouldn't express an opinion. But I am saying this is literally, I think, the second, maybe third trailer we've gotten for this game. Nobody has played it yet. Not seriously. I mean, yes, some people played the multiplayer component. I mean, we don't know.
I played it at E3. It was fun.
Right. I mean, if it's a good game, then support it. Anyways, I kind of feel like the same thing. I'm saying the same thing about Ghostbusters. It's way too soon to be pronouncing doom and gloom for this. You're basing things off of out of context. You haven't played it, or you haven't seen the movie yet. Like Spoonie right now is going on a real rant against the Ghostbusters movie, and I know it's off topic, but it's kind of annoying me because he's making all sorts of assumptions based off of one trailer. Like he's automatically assuming all these... Anyways. We're getting Rhythm Heaven Megamix is coming to 3DS. I'm very happy for this, although I will never play this game. Look, guys, I hate to say it, I don't got rhythm. Like, at all. I can't play music games. I can't play rhythm games. I never was able to beat the Clank spin-off, Secret Agent Clank, because I literally could not get past the first rhythm-based level on the PSP. That's how bad I am at these things. Whenever games have forced rhythm sections, I groan because I'm terrible. I don't have a like my very nature. I don't know if it's my ADD. I don't know what it is. I can't play rhythm games. I can't play music games. I'm shit at them. On anything safe, I thought it was a miracle I managed to get through Persona 4 Dancing All Night, for example. And even then, I only got past it by playing it on the easy setting and using all the cheats I could. So... But I love Rhythm Heaven. I love watching people play it. Like, if you ever watch the excellent Video Games Awesome, a show I absolutely love, one of their best set of episodes is them playing Rhythm Heaven for, I think, Fever, whichever one it was on the Wii, and just their reactions to it. It's a perfect game for Twitch, and I'm happy to see more of it, including some unreleased stuff, both outright new music levels and old classic levels from the Game Boy version that never were released over here. So I'm happy to see more Rhythm Heaven. Any quick thoughts? I mean, quick. Come on,
Because it looks kind of cool. It's not my thing.
But you can acknowledge it's good it exists.
I'm glad it exists.
Man, you sound really kind of reluctant about that.
It's just
what did Rhythm Heaven do to you?
This is a point in the direct where I just kind of like tuned out for a couple of seconds. I was just like, okay, cool.
Oh, nice. All right, fine, Mr. Tune Out. Then let's just wrap things up with with the last big reveal, the last big topic of the Direct, and something I'm always happy to see, a new Kirby game. I love Kirby games, people. They're rarely very challenging, but they're usually so colorful and fun and creative and just enjoyable that and this one in particular, which is, okay, what is the exact title? Kirby, damn it, just lost it. Live recording, people. Kirby Planet Robot, coming out June 10th, 2016. Or is it, no, Robobot. Not Robot, Robobot, okay? This looks brilliant. I love the art. I love the style of this. I love the concept. It's like the old school Robotnik, especially from like the early days of the comics and stuff, where he was literally roboticizing people and stuff, but in a Kirby game. And yes, it looks, and they're giving him a big mecha suit, which I always, Kirby games always tend to have some sort of fun, unique gimmick, which makes them enjoyable and stand out. And I love the approach of it. I just like him walking through that level that was clearly set early in the town, where you're walking through now the mechanized town and and you're regularly crossing streets where cars are coming in from the background, and just this looks like it's going to be good old fashioned fun Kirby stuff, and surprisingly badass to put him in a giant peak mech suit. Who knew? Who knew? It works. Any thoughts?
It's another Kirby game. I've got nothing really to say about it. Like at this point, they're all the Kirby games starting to blur together for me. And I guess a lot of people say the same thing about Super Mario games, but I don't know. Like Kirby has been a 2D platformer that is 2D and 2D and 2D, and has really changed not much. Like many Nintendo franchises, incrementally. But unlike a lot of other incremental changes, those incremental changes never seem to stick, and they just change from game to game. The most unique thing the franchise has done was Epic Yarn, and that was awesome. And since then, I think the last 3 games have just melded together for me.
Tell me something, Petros. When exactly did you realize you had died inside?
I was never.
Huh? People who don't like Kirby, that should be criminal.
I was never alive inside.
That's really sad. Actually, that's dark, man. It's dark. I'm sorry. I understand you can't appreciate how dark that is because apparently you've never been alive inside and you don't really get it. You're not really a human being, and that sucks. But yeah, it's terrible. You should feel awful, at least as close to awful as you can, you monster. Well, this got weird. This got really weird. So, just another episode of Thumb Wars. It hasn't been a Thumb Wars in a while, but we've come back as messed up as ever. Some things never change, do they? This is where you reply.
I eat babies for a living.
All right, I think Petros is I think he's blown up. I think he's kind of worn out. We need to let the big baby go back to sleep because it's past midnight. And I work at midnight. I work a 3:30 to midnight shift. 5 days a week, man. Tough up. But anyways, no, seriously though, Petros, it was great having you on the show. Any final thoughts about this direct before we go?
They threw a lot at us in this direct. I was a little bit surprised there was no Zelda news or anything. I kind of expected a sort of Apple style. And one more thing at the end. I'm glad the directs are back. I'm glad they're swinging back in full force. I'm excited for the next year or so sort of holds for Nintendo. I think we're going to get some fun things out of them. There's a lot I want to see from Nintendo, which I feel like they're doing their thing, and I think we'll hear more from their what's going to be new and not just new games, probably at E3. So this was fun. This was a nice little update on some software-wise new stuff. I think we'll hear more about hardware, NX, 3DS replacement, NX, handheld NX console, whatever we expect it to be, at E3. I think we'll hear more about mobile at E3 as well. I think we're going to hear. I'm just excited. I want to see what happens in the future, and this direct was just a nice little sort of.
Right.
It's some fun stuff.
As I've already said, nothing earth-shattering, but enjoyable, and a good reminder that Nintendo's got stuff in the pipeline to be excited about for all demographics, even if some of them aren't personally for you. It's good for Nintendo, and as far as I'm concerned, that's good for the industry. And that's going to do it for this episode of Thumb Wars. It's nice to have the show back again after a while, and we'll see if we can't do a bit more frequent things about video games. I do still have a big anime review episode coming up, a bunch of different games, including Fire Emblem Fates, which I know technically isn't based on an anime, but it looks like an anime, so I'm going to cheat and consider it anyways, because hey, it's my show and I get to decide what's on it. Suck it, haters. Suck it. Seriously, though. So we've got that coming up, more Unrepented Geeking, I've got reviews of Zootopia, and Petros and I are hoping to record some brief stuff, some additional stuff, talking about the new Ghostbusters trailer, a few other things. So, lots coming down the pipe, And if you're interested in seeing keeping up with what I'm up to, please head on over to unrepentedgeeking.com, where you can find all my stuff. And if you want to throw a few bucks the show's way, help keep the lights on around here, you can feel free to do so by going to patreon.com/unrepentedgeeking. Finally, if you're listening to this via iTunes, consider rating and reviewing. Really does help keep the show going by spreading the word about it out there, getting more attention on iTunes, which is always valuable. Regardless, thank you as always for listening, for watching. I really do appreciate every single one of you, even the annoying ones. Most days. Generally. Okay, seriously though, again. For Thumb Wars and Unrepented Geeking, I am Sean Cronenfeld, wishing you all happy gaming. Till next time.